this is Annalisa from Faith Dream Create, and welcome back to my channel. You are watching my Christmas card series for 2020. So let's jump right into the card. So I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Pinecone background stamp and some versafine black ink to stamp this down so I can do some watercoloring. And the stamping platform that I'm using is actually one I made with some IKEA products to do a IKEA hack. And this stamping platform worked out great for this because I ended up doing a square card so that I could include the whole stamp in its entirety. I definitely want to go ahead and experiment with using this stamp in different ways, but for the technique that I did, that stamping platform worked out great because it was a bigger surface. So quickly, I went ahead and used some Ranger clear embossing ink on the background here that I had stamped. Versafine black ink is not necessarily an embossing ink, but from my experience, I find that if you are quick with most inks, you can emboss it if you move quickly. You don't always get the best results, but it definitely worked in this process, and definitely experiment with it. It can work, even if it is not embossing ink. And I just love the process of watching this embossing ink melt with the heat tool. It is just, there's just something about it. So once that was all done, I'm going to go ahead and watercolor this with some Distress Oxide inks. So I just went ahead and smushed the ink onto my glass mat and sprayed it with some water. And I'm able to watercolor it. And by embossing it, the watercolor stays within those embossed areas and it gives it that shiny effect. So I just ended up using three Distress Oxide inks for the watercolor process. This is Vintage Photo. And then for the greenery, I'm going to be using Mowed Lawn. And then for the background bits in between that, I'm using Speckled Egg Distress Oxide inks. And this is super sped up. It wasn't that long to watercolor this, but definitely took me a fair bit of time. So I didn't want you to have to watch that all because you get the idea of the watercoloring as it's sped up. And this definitely turned out so cool. Like, I felt like you could frame this and put it in a frame and hang it on your wall, or even add a sentiment to it, as I do later, but you could add a sentiment to it and put it on your wall as well. This doesn't need to be a card. It's just so beautiful on its own. I just feel like you could do so many different decor pieces with this beautiful background, and definitely fun to experiment with different looks and colors and techniques. And yeah, I really love this, how this turned out and this look, and I really like to decorate with pine cones for fall and Christmas, so this could definitely be a stamp set that you used even in fall. So then I'm going ahead and using a stamp from Sunny Studio, and this is their Inside Greetings stamp set. And this was from one of their newer releases. And I'm just using my smaller stamping platform to ink that up and get it all ready. And I'm stamping it on some vellum so that I don't lose all of that beautiful watercoloring and embossing and the pine cones in the background. And I did go ahead and emboss this sentiment as well. Or actually didn't. Okay. I didn't emboss it. I just dried it a little bit. That's what I was confused about. I was like, I lost some footage. No, I didn't. I just dried it a little bit because stamped on the vellum, I didn't want it to smudge at all. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut that down. And this sentiment is so beautiful, and I just thought it totally worked with the pine cones. It says, May the beauty and joy of Christmas. I will read it in a second as I adhere this down. So I just go ahead and adhere it down with the advanced tape glider. I don't mind having a little bit of the adhesive shown. I don't notice it, but if you do notice that, definitely you can hide the So the sentiment reads, "May the beauty and joy of Christmas bring praise to your heart and God's peace to your home." I just thought this works so well with the beauty of the pine cones and the Christmas message. So thank you so much for watching. That finishes up the card. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and come back for the next Christmas card. I will see you in a little bit. Bye for now.